3 things as a personal trainer or evaluating personal trainer to take into account to avoid. These are 3 mistakes I made as a fitness professional early on, and I thought I'd share them with you for those that, again, might be going into the field or in the field, perhaps evaluating your own programming and the way you're approaching the profession, and to make some adjustments that would help with your clients achieve better success. And if clients achieve better success, that means that you will also be rewarded with better success as well. So if you like this video after viewing it, drop a comment below if you have a comment, of course, but like the video if you like it, drop a comment, or if you have a question, leave it down in the bottom. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more on the field of exercise, sports science, nutrition science. So let's talk about these 3 different topics, 3 different, I would say more problems I had as a trainer, and mistakes, there we go, that's the word, mistakes that I made when starting out. Number 1, the client isn't you, right? So I had come off being a collegiate athlete. I thought everybody trained like a collegiate athlete. I thought I dialed my programming down. I thought, but what I ended up doing was overcomplicating exercises, overcomplicating programming, and perhaps have inappropriate programming in line with the client's goal. So if somebody lose weight, I would give them the same program that somebody wanted to get stronger. Well, that isn't right. I was a foolish young trainer, and I just had one perspective on training. Even though I was taught in classes that there's other people out there other than collegiate athletes, that's the only perspective I had. And so when you realize that people aren't you, it should drive a lot of further education, which I started to do. I remember I had a lady that was, I would say, BMI closer to 40 and double knee replacement. Well, that was a crash course for me of how do you train somebody that doesn't look like that, quasi-Olympic level, meaning they're almost Olympic level track star that I had just been training, months prior. That's a very different clientele. And so number 1, don't assume people, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a physique person, that doesn't mean that person should train like you. If they're trying to lose weight, certainly some of those things you're doing could be helpful, but they may not be ready for some of the advanced type of training you're doing with rep configurations and sets, or the volume certainly, or even exercises that they haven't mastered just yet. So don't assume that individuals can just copy what you're doing. Take the time and understand their goals and fit for what they're doing. Fit your program to what they actually want to see happen. Number 2, which follows that, number 2 mistake that I made is you don't need to take the approach of trying to impress the client with some sort of array of magical exercises. Now, there's a time for that, of pulling exercise variety out, but what really impress, especially new trainees, is your knowledge of basic exercise technique, basic movement patterns. They want to feel better. They want to feel good over the short span that you have maybe to prove yourself, which may be only a week or 2. If you notice they can't hip hinge, spend some time in their warm-up or whatever they're doing learning how to hip hinge before you start loading them, certainly. That could go a long way for improving how they feel, number 1. And number 2, again, that's going to create some buy-in. Towards the end of my training career, I saw this new idea of selling, which was bring the client in, have them stand on a wobble board and put a medicine ball over the head and try to squat it. And the client was so overwhelmed that they thought, man, I can't exercise on my own. Well, that's, in my opinion, that borders line not ethical. And I think the model shifted more to evaluation. So the client comes in, we evaluate them with a validated tool, and it says, hey, you don't have good hip mobility, or hey, you don't. That's fine, because now you're pointing out to the individual, these are things you need to work on. As long as you're, what you're showing, if they're off 1 degree from the standard, well, that's not a big deal. But if they have significant problems in certain areas, or they're overweight, and they probably know that already anyway, those are things you can point out to them and then get them in the gym and start to teach them how to exercise based on maybe their previous experience as well. But just putting them in a really difficult exercise situation in order to show them that they're ineffective exercisers is not an effective way to bolster your training either. Many people just feel overwhelmed and give up, and they won't sign up with you. Or when they start to train with you, then it's like, where's the circus tricks, right? So be ethical in your approach, and you'll find just use your knowledge. Knowledge sells. Knowledge makes money. And most importantly, more than that, it helps people, right? And so if you don't have a lot of knowledge, learn. This is where seminars and reputable organizations and people start to come into play. And the last one is understand that people, and I underestimated this, understand the outside world has a greater impact on that individual than even the 4 hours a week that you might have with them, if even that much. And so you might have these great training plans outlined and progressions, and they're following them and seeing some progress, and you notice they plateau for a time. Like, what's going on? This shouldn't happen. And you come to find out they're going through divorce. That was from my own experience. That one of my clients was going through divorce. I didn't know it. She wasn't eating. Even though I was talking to her about nutrition, she wasn't telling me the truth. Their life stress could be high. It could be a positive thing. They could be moving homes or got in a promotion, but now there's a new schedule. I mean, there's a lot of things that affect the ability to recover. I have a client right now, a remote client that, she tends to overextend herself, and times she's sleeping 4 hours a night. And those are times not to cut. Those are times not to try to lose weight. Those are times not to try to push hard in training. Those are times just to hold on to what you got and understand that that's okay. Have some grace for yourself, and then notice that know that season will pass, and it usually does. And now you're going to have more time to train again. Now you can try to lose weight again. You just try to hold on during those maintenance periods. And so, when you're working with clients, realizing that not everything is going to be a linear progression when it comes to progress. And most of the time it has to do with what's going on outside of the training sessions. And if you can appreciate that, you won't be so hard on yourself. You can critically evaluate your programs in light of these other things, and then you can help people. You can start helping them to realize that these many people don't understand that a poor night's sleep is going to affect their weight loss. It's going to affect their quality of their training. A poorly timed nutrition plan or poorly timed nutrition is going to negatively affect their outcome measures that they want, usually which is gain more muscle mass, lose body fat. We know that, or maybe, as professionals, but many people don't appreciate that. And as professionals, sometimes you can forget that as well when you're looking at the client going, what are you not, what am I doing wrong in my programming? And it may have nothing to do with that at all. So that's where obviously knowing the client, talking about them, asking questions that may even be simple but are loaded, like, hey, how are your kids doing? And they come back, oh, my one kid's going through a hard time right now, and we're up with them all the way until 1 p.m. last night, and last weekend we had to go out there. Oh. So you're starting to, in your mind, you're thinking these are all life stressors that are piling up to threaten that stress reserve that this person has in order to deal with these. Now it may, my programming may need to be backed off a little bit, especially, if they're a little tired while they're training. They may not need a deload week because you're training. They may need a deload day, and I'm going to use just the word deload week. They need more of a deloady, that's a new word, deload week in order to recover from all the life stress. So just appreciate there's the outside world is going to have a greater effect, a profound effect on their fitness outcomes that you may be pursuing than even your training will in a given time. All right. So I hope you found those 3 tips helpful if you're a trainer or you're looking to evaluate a trainer. At least when it comes to understanding, does that trainer understand your goals and have they worked with somebody that has your goals, and how are they going to work you or set up a program to get you closer to your goals? If they're I just do bodybuilding, that's all I do. Well, if that's what you want to do, fine. But if you have some limitations that may need a knowledgeable coach to scale exercise, then that's not the kind of coach, personal trainer, fitness professional that you want to go with. You want to have somebody that has that knowledge in order to progress you properly. I'll see you in the next video.